What's going on, guys? Pete Nova here with the Face Off Sports Network. Week 11 is here, and I got you covered today, bright and early in the morning, with my start, sit, plus rankings to help you win your matchups this week. As always, folks, make sure you like, subscribe, punch those questions in the comments, and I will happily answer them. I'm making sure that we are pushed out on all socials. So while I do that, make sure you start throwing in some questions here. We're here bright and early. It is the last international game of the season, which I am thankful for because these early starts have been kind of tough. So I'm excited to get things going here. Let me just make sure that things are pushed out on socials really quick. Um, so yeah, just keep sending in questions, folks. I see the first few already. Just keep sending them in. There we go. What's going on, JW, Brian, hello, Rally Sporters, what's going on? What's going on? Give me 1 second here. I'm getting to your questions. I wanna make sure that this is all pushed out on our my socials here. Let's see. Okay, looks like we are pretty much all set. Green, green, green all around. All right, folks. Let's get this thing going here. So with the international games, I've been going for about an hour or so. So I figure maybe go a little bit longer depending on the crowd here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and like and subscribe. Helps us out tremendously. And let's get rolling here. So JW said start White or pick up Sean Tucker. Yeah, I mean I'm starting Rashad White. I know there's a lot of steam and smoke about Sean Tucker, and I guess I've never really understood it. His numbers look good running the football, but it's really game script and matchup dependent, right? There's a pretty well-known beat writer over there that's been saying since Bucky's been out that this entire time it's going to be you know it's going to be dependent for Sean Tucker to be successful. It's going to be dependent on the game script and if they're playing with a lead. With Buffalo, I expect this game to be pretty tight, so I don't expect it to be where Sean Tucker is taking a big role here. Yeah, he might be getting touches, but he's just not catching the football enough. So I'm going with Rashad White pretty comfortably. I wouldn't overthink that. I know White hasn't maybe been the most or the best the last 2 weeks. But I would still go with White. I have White ranked decently high. Brian Hunter said, "Good morning, Pete, Tet, Woody, or Aaron Jones for the flex." Yeah, it's a good question. I have Tet decently low in my rankings. I have Woody pretty high. I have Aaron Jones decently high. I would go with Woody Marks this week. I really, really like the matchup against Tennessee. I think GameScript's going to help them and should help Woody Marks be really good for us this week. Halal said, "Hey, brother, Pitzer, Loveland, Sean Tucker, or Sharbs, also Parker Washington, Watson, or Tet McMillan." What's going on? Appreciate the question. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. I would go with Kyle Pitts. He's been extremely consistent this year. I think it's getting kind of under talked about. Colson Loveland is, of course, that big boom game that you're hoping for. But I mean, Kyle Pitts to me, tight end 7 in ECR this week, which is expert consensus rankings. His weekly finishes in PPR have been 24, 25, 6, 12, 34, 3, 20, 18. I mean, he's given us the last 2 weeks, he hasn't been nearly as good, but the targets are there. I mean, 10, 9, 7, 5. Like the volume is there for Pitts. It's Carolina. I would go with Pitts. Sean Tucker or Charbonnet is interesting. I'll go with Charbonnet just because I think that game is going to be competitive. That both games are going to be competitive, but I trust that Charbonnet, I think, will have a chance to get into the end zone. Oh, and then Watson, Parker, or Tet. I think this is closer than many may expect, and I'm a big Tet fan. Things have slowed down a little bit for him. I'm still going to go with Tet. I have him at 33. I have Watson at 36. I have Parker Washington at 41. Rally said, "Good morning, Caleb Williams or Brock Purdy, 6-point passing touchdowns." Yeah, I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams today. He's going up against a secondary in Minnesota that's been kind of rough, and pretty favorable to fantasy points to the quarterback. Brock Purdy, I probably need to bump up a little bit in my rankings. I actually just realized, and I'm sharing this live. I did not adjust him, with the news that he's playing. So Brock Purdy probably slides up to about quarterback 17 for me this week, right behind Jared Goff, behind JJ McCarthy. Arizona secondary, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. So I'll put Brock there. I don't think Brock is still fully healthy. I was listening to Dr. Chow on Twitter, and he was saying he still doesn't think, based on some practice footage, that he's still completely healthy. Brian, appreciate it, man. Um, Appreciate that. Appreciate that. BD, what's going on? Morning. PPR, start Tyler Algier or Luther Burden the flex. I'd start Tyler Algier. Burden's just not doing enough for me to feel super confident to roll him out right now. Algier has gotten a solid workload. He scores in touchdowns for us. So I would go with Algier if it were me. That would be my preference there. Jared, what's up, man? Said, hope all is well. Grab Corm or Brian Robinson for depth. What side of a trade in PPR draft? Vidal, Pierce, White, Worthy. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about White and Vidal, who are two players that are likely going to see their roles reduced very, very soon. Um, Vidal has a bye next week, and then Hampton may come back that week after, may miss another week. Whereas White, I got to think Bucky's going to play next week. He was close this week, it sounded like. So both of these guys are kind of in tough spots when it comes to their job security. Pierce or Worthy. Man, it's tight here, but I think I'm gonna go with Alec Pierce over Worthy rest of the season. But I don't think it's that big of a uh, I don't think it's that big of a gap. I would still go with the Rashad White and Worthy side, just because I think when Hampton's back, I think Vidal's going to have less of a role than when Bucky's back for White, and I also think Bucky, maybe re-injury risk is possible more for him. And Worthy with Mahomes, I mean, that offense has been really, really good still. I actually think there's a Worthy has less weapons around him, not more, than Pierce, who has Warren, Michael Pittman, who's been really good. Those two, I mean, Pierce is probably like third option in my opinion still, whereas Worthy could get up to be number two, splitting with Kelsey. And that run game is really bad for Kansas City. So I expect them to continue to pass a lot. So I would actually stick with the Worthy side. Um, Oblivion said, morning, Pete, pick two to flex. Addison, Quentin Johnson, Shaheed, Judy, Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I'm going to go with Quentin Johnson at least for number one. I have him at 28 against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a good matchup for wide receivers. Their secondary has been really brutal. They have not been very good. Shaheed, Addison, I would go with Addison as well. I would go Addison and Quentin Johnston. I have Addison one spot ahead of Quentin Johnston. Matt, full PPR Pitts or Theo and Hunt or Franklin at the flex. Oh man, I would go with Pitts over Theo. I still like Theo this week, but I would go with Pitts. Hunter Franklin's tough. I think I still lean with Hunt over Franklin, just because I think we could get workload. I think we could get bell cow workload for Hunt. I think Elijah Mitchell could be sneaky. I think he could start working himself in. But I think I would still go with Kareem Hunt just off of the volume. I think Sutton's going to be bracketed, and I don't think Franklin's the worst play in the world. But I would go with Kareem Hunt. Vinny, good morning. Need a tight end, wide receiver, and a flex. Ferguson, Gadsden, Dobbs, Franklin, Judy, Worthy, Harvey. Thanks as always. Thank you. Make sure you guys hit that like. Yeah, I would go with Gadsden for sure. Um, I would go with Dobbs and Gadsden. I have Dobbs like just around wide receiver 20. I have Gadsden as my tight end 3 this week. And then I have I I think I would go with Ferguson here. It'd be Ferguson or Harvey for me. Um, Harvey's got a tough matchup, right? And I think this needs to be said, but Harvey might not have a good game today. That doesn't mean you should overreact and not be excited about him rest of the season. I think he's got a really really good chance to be a league winner down the stretch. I know league winner gets thrown out there a lot, but this is a guy that could have been had for really next to nothing due to his slow start this year with Dobbins playing as well as he did. Kansas City's a tough matchup. So I still think I go with Ferguson, Gadsden, and Dobbs. If there was a flip here, I would go with Harvey over Ferguson. But Harvey would be my filler option for if I wasn't going to go with one of those guys. Debbie, what's going on? Good morning, Pete. Not pretty, but McCarthy, Mariota, or Winston. Yeah, I would go with JJ McCarthy. Chicago secondary beat up. Now they are getting some help, but I know Mariota's playing against Miami. I just have a feeling that Miami's defense is going to be good this week. I know that might not be super, I guess, super popular of an opinion. Their defense has gotten better. I mean, it's really hard. It's hard not to admit that. I prefer Tua this week. I'm pretty high on Tua. Um, I'm not really in love with playing Winston against the Packers, to be honest with you. So that would kind of be that would be where I would roll. I would roll with JJ. Let's see, Mariota or Goff. I prefer Goff. Woody, Kyron, or Pearsall. I would go with Kyron still. I do think it's close with Woody and Kyron. I have Woody as my running back 14. I have Kyron Williams as my running back 11. So, I mean, if you're feeling pretty confident about Woody over Kyron, don't let my advice sway you because I'm pretty high on Woody this week as well. So if you feel convicted about Woody, I would start him over Kyron. I do have Kyron ahead of him, but it's not by much. We're talking 3 spots. So do with that information what you will. Devontae or Tet, yeah, I'm going Devontae. I mean, he's that offense is amazing. He's in the best offensive football. Tet, I love him, but I'm not super high on him this week. I think he might have a tough day. Sean Tucker, Chris Rodriguez, Bam Knight, Kyle Manungai. um, I would go with Chris Rodriguez or Kyle Manungai. They're back to back in my rankings. I lean Chris Rodriguez. I do worry a little bit about Miami, and Manungai's been good, but I would lean Chris Rodriguez. But it's a coin flip. So, but between the two of them, I'm not comfortable starting Bam Knight right now. The way that offense has done their splits, just not super comfortable there. We got 41 people in the house, guys. Appreciate everybody here. Make sure you hit that like and make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Francisco said, choose two. Need a running back 2 and a flex. Woody, Harvey, and Vidal. Yeah, I'm sitting Harvey here. I would roll out Woody and Vidal. I think Vidal and Harvey have tough matchups. Woody's the clear play for me, but Vidal and Harvey have tough matchups. But ultimately, I would still rather go with Vidal, who I think I feel more comfortable about his workload. Harvey could have his. I tweeted about it, but I tweeted about it like immediately when the day after the game, and I said like, Jaleel McLaughlin is the guy I think I prefer. I don't think Tyler Baday's role expands too much. I think he's just a pass catcher in this offense. So but the reason I'm bringing that up is I think that there's I don't think Harvey's going to have like a 70% workload. I think it's going to be close to like a 60 split, and then you're looking at like a 30% to Jaleel and a 10% to Tyler Bidet. Take your time. I got offered Harvey and Puka for Gibbs or JT. team is JT, Hurts, Gibbs, Tet, Rome, Waddle, Pitts, Washington, Part Watson, Tootin, Sharps. Man, Puka would be a really massive upgrade for your wide receiver room. Waddle has been. I trust Waddle over Rome the rest of the season more. Waddle's been that dude. Rome is like a mid wide receiver two to high end wide receiver two. Tet's a low end wide receiver two. Puka, you're getting top five. I would say this is pretty close. I think I would do it. I think Puka and Gibbs are I would do it for Gibbs. I think Puka and Gibbs are close to a wash, if not a wash, and you get Harvey on top. I think it's a pretty fair trade. And given your room and your team, I think you can afford. I know you're taking a downgrade at your RB2, so you have to just think about, are you comfortable with that? I mean, you're taking a significant downgrade from Harvey. Are you comfortable with Harvey being your RB2 rest of the season? I mean, I think he's a low end RB2 rest of the season, but it's a really solid downgrade from Gibbs. So I would weigh it that way, but I also think it's fair to not take it because your running back room becomes kind of thin, but it's already thin. It's just you have two really elite backs right now. Jared with a $2 super chat. Appreciate it, Jared. Said Monty or Vidal. Yeah, I still have Vidal ahead of Monty this week. I have Montgomery at 24. I have Vidal at 21. Monty plays Philly. Vidal plays Jacksonville. I think this is decently close, though. We're talking three spots, so same as what I've said before. Don't sit here and think it's a clear cut. Hey, you got to play Vidal. I just trust the workload for Vidal a little bit more. So let's see. Judson said lineup is set, but always great to listen to advice with lineups. Thanks. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for just hopping in and just hanging out. Very much appreciated. Good to see you. Vinny said, Windy and Buffalo. Should I start McLaughlin or drop for Reichert or Pinheiro? I prefer Pinheiro. I think Hauff prefers Pinheiro over McLaughlin as well. I don't know where he has Reichert ranked, but I'm pretty sure he has Pinheiro ahead of McLaughlin this week. So I'm not the kicker guy though. So just that's really more of a Hauff thing. Pick two. Okay, yeah, I answered this one already. You probably already heard it. You probably just sent it in already, but I would say Woody and Vidal. Woody Marks or Rashad White? I would go with Woody Marks. Craig, play two half PPR. Tyrone Tracy, AJ Brown, Rashad White, Zay Flowers. Half PPR. Yeah, I'd go with Rashad White and Zay Flowers. Let's see, Schultz or Ferguson. I'm going with Ferguson here. Burden, B-Rob, or DK. Ooh, man, you're really deep here. Yeah, I mean, I would drop it for Michael Wilson. I would drop DK for Michael Wilson, and I would play him. I want the handcuff and B-Rob, and I want the potential for Burden to maybe have a breakout towards the end of the season if one of these guys get hurt. So that's how I would roll. Michael said Caleb or Stafford. Who would you start, and would you start Woody over Chase Brown full PPR? So I would start Chase Brown over Woody. I have Chase Brown at 10. We saw Chase Brown. That was like the kickstart week for him to kind of start this stretch of good, strong games that he's had. Quarterback position, it's a little tighter here. Stafford's, I mean, I have him at quarterback 10. I have Caleb at quarterback 11. Caleb has a much softer matchup in the secondary than Stafford, but Stafford is playing at a MVP level. It's really hard to not play Stafford right now. Stafford, you almost look at him and you say, hey, is he matchup proof at this point? I mean, quarterback 4, quarterback 8, quarterback 2 the last 3 weeks. He's been inside the top 8 every week since week 4. QB 2, QB 8, QB 26, QB 4, QB 8, QB 2. So I mean, extremely consistent from Stafford. Caleb, we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows. I would go with Stafford still, but I mean, still fine going Caleb, but I prefer Stafford. They're right neck and neck here. Jenny said, good morning, Pete. I can start one, Travis Kelce, Luke Musgrave, or Gadsden. I would go with Gadsden. Also, Jared Goff or Patrick Mahomes, and Jordan Love or Patrick. I would go with Mahomes over Love and Jared Goff. If you want a safer play, I would go with Goff over Mahomes, but I'm definitely not going Love over Patrick just because, look, they're playing the Giants. They could play that could be a grinded out game. They could get up early. They could get up early because Love puts them up early. I don't know, but I have concerns that they're going to be highly motivated to to push the ball downfield a ton after, or chase points, because I don't think the Giants are going to force them to. But yeah, I would go with Gadsden, and I would go with Mahomes. I have Mahomes decently low in my rankings, so I get the question. I have him at 12. I have Goff at 16. I think Goff's got a much safer matchup than Mahomes, but it's Mahomes off a bye with Andy Reid, so I think you have to play Mahomes. Spears or Christian Rodriguez? Yeah, I like Christian Rodriguez, but I'm going to still go with Spears here. By 2 spots. Spears 28. I think they're coming from behind Tennessee, so I would go with Spears. M. Alum said Woody Marks or Derrick Henry. I have Woody Marks ahead of Henry this week. I know it sounds crazy. Derrick Henry to me is not matchup proof right now. So I would go with Woody Marks. I like his matchup more. Let's see. Tree hugging Hunter. Good morning. What's going on, man? 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Tet, Adunze, BTJ, Pearsall, Tez, DeMarcado, Rodriguez. Yeah, I would go with Adunze. I would go with Pearsall. I would go with Tez. And I would go with BTJ. So I'd go Tez, Odunze, BTJ, and Pearsall. If there was one guy I'd swap out, it'd be BTJ for maybe Tet. But I prefer Adunze, BTJ, Pearsall, Tez. Pete, forgot the first part of the question. I think I answered it, Jared, when you sent. Maybe that's why you sent in the super chat. Let me just verify. Yeah, no, I did. Oh, I didn't say that. You're right. Quorum or Brian Robinson for depth. Yeah, I would go with Brian Robinson just because McCaffrey has shown that. Sorry, guys. McCaffrey's shown that he's more injury prone than Kyron. But both guys have been pretty healthy this year. It's crazy to play 2 over Mahomes matchup base. I don't think it is. I have 2 at 13. I have Mahomes at 12. I wanted to put Tua ahead of Mahomes so badly, but I just didn't have the courage to do it. But I think we're on the same wavelength here, Craig. I think it's definitely a valid possibility. Consensus has 2 at 22. I just don't agree with that. Against Washington. Washington is a defense that allows quarterbacks and teams to get right. I think this is a game that they could absolutely pour on some points. Half PPR pick 2, Sutton, Franklin, Pearsall, Parker Washington. So yeah, I would go with Franklin and I would go with Pearsall. I think Sutton has a chance to be good today. He did look good last year in Kansas City when I say that because that was when their starters were playing. They weren't playing in the second matchup. Sutton had a big game against Trent McDuffie and looked good, but defenses are kind of bracketing him and double covering him, and it's leading to Franklin getting a lot of targets right now. So I love Cortland Sutton, man, but I think I'd go with Franklin today, and it really hurts to say that. But Parker Washington, I would play Franklin and Pierce all over him, with BTJ back, with Brenton Strange back, and with Jacoby Myers a second week in the system. Kelsey or Theo Johnson? I'll go with Kelsey. Gadsden or Kittle? I'll go with Gadsden. Mahomes or Purdy? I'm going with Mahomes. Parker Washington or QJ? I prefer QJ. I mean, that secondary for the Jaguars is giving up a lot of points for fantasy to the wide receiver position. 39% underdog after 39% underdog after Trevion on the other team. PPR 2 flex need 3. ETN, Flowers, Vidal, Worthy, Franklin need 3. Okay. Flowers for sure. Vidal, and I would go ETN. I would go with the 3 guys that are going to have bell cow roles. Flowers is the guy there. He's been really good. this year. I know he's had some inconsistencies at Lamar, being hurt and stuff, but I would go Flowers over all those wide receivers pretty comfortably. Vidal is in a workhorse role. There's really nobody. I mean, yeah, Jared Patterson's, but I trust Vidal is going to get, the lion's share here. And ETN against the Chargers, run defense has been tough, but you're looking at Worthy and Franklin, and Tracy. All three have, tough matchups. So, yeah, I would go with the running backs there. Good morning. What's up, Henry? Loveland or Otten, QJ or Parker? I would go with Otten over Loveland. I like Otten this week in a game I expect to be high scoring, and I prefer QJ. We rolling with London. I mean, yeah, you got to roll with. I mean, I know he's kind of sick right now, and if he's playing, I'm playing him. What time does that game start? Yeah, thankfully it's a 1 o'clock game, so you're not gonna have to wait till 4 o'clock, and then he gets ruled out, and then you're screwed because you already played a guy in his spot. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But if he's healthy, I'm playing him. Steve, good morning. Pick one, please. Kareem Hunt, Benungai, Charbonnet, Tracy DeMarcado. Yeah, it's a little closer. I think for my rankings, yeah, I would go with Tracy at 26. I don't love Tracy. I don't love any of these guys this week. I have Charbonnet and Tracy back to back for what it's worth. So if you're leaning Charbonnet, go Charbonnet. They're back to back. It's a coin flip. Sean said pick two wide receiver: Sutton, Addison, Tez, and Pearsall. I would go with Tez, and I would go with Addison, I believe, over Pearsall. Sutton's definitely sitting out of these guys. I have Addison at 27. I have Pearsall at 29. I have Tez at 23. Yeah. So, I mean, Addison and Pearsall are kind of close. So maybe you could flip and sit Addison for Pearsall, but I have Addison and Tez ahead of Pearsall and Sutton. Sutton's the most obvious sit for me here. Nix or Williams, I'm going with Caleb Williams. Matt said thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. I'm going to take a look here and see where we're at on likes for the show. The reason we always say, guys, it just helps us out if you can't send in a super chat. Likes on the show just helps push us out to more people. It helps grow our reach. We have 15 likes. We got 32 people watching. We had 45 at one point. So hit that like button. I know you guys hear me right now, and I know there's some of you that still haven't hit that like button. Hit it, hit it, hit it. Helps us out a lot. Matt said also sit one in half PPR, Jennings, JMO, or Debo. So Debo is interesting. I have him at 30. I have Jennings at 26, and I had Jamison Williams at 34. So to me, it's between. I think you're definitely starting Jennings, and I think it's a coin flip between Debo and JMO. But I have JMO. Debo 4 spots ahead of JMO. I know Debo hasn't been super great, but JMO is just up and down. I know people are buying into, oh, Dan Campbell, he took over the play calling and now Jamison Williams was unlocked. They also played Washington again. Like I said before, they're like a get right game for a lot of people, a lot of teams. So let's see. Statics Hawk said Quinshon Judkins or Chase Brown. I'm going Chase Brown. I think floor and ceiling is higher with Chase Brown, to be completely honest with you. Browns, I love Judkins and I love the schedule, but I worry a little bit about just with Dylan Gabriel. It's really limiting Judkins, and Judkins isn't catching also a ton of passes. So even if they're playing from behind on a bad game script, like he's not catching a ton of passes. Woody or White, half point PPR. I'm going with Woody over White. Hauff must answer that question here from the face-off account. Sit one, AJ Brown, a Dunze or Pickens. I'm sitting AJ. Sutton or Aaron Jones. I'm going Aaron Jones. Half PPR Sutton. I answered this one already. You might not have heard it, but I'm going with Pearsall, and I'm going with Franklin. I answered this one as well. Kelsey or Johnson. I go Kelsey. Pick two, Pearsall, Dalton Schultz, Parker Washington, Malik Washington. Yeah, I'll go with Ricky, and I'll go with Dalton Schultz. Also, Hoff dropped this in here, but we have one spot left for our DFS contest. If you want to get in there and play against me and some of the guys, it's a $5 entry. We're just having a little bit of fun, so feel free to hop in if you want to play with us. Michael said, my running backs, wide receivers, Henry, Warren, Chase Brown, Singletary, Algiers, Spears, Isaiah Davis, Flowers, Parker, Pearsall, IU Manor, Harrison, Burton. Would you trade Spears for Shakir? Henry, Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, Algiers. Yeah, I would do that. I mean, with the recent news that Keon Coleman's not, so if you guys don't know, Keon Coleman is not suiting up today. He's a healthy scratch. I think Shakir is really. I said it a couple weeks ago on Player Profiler. Shakir is the only guy I really trust outside of Kincaid in this offense, and Shakir has been kind of decent this year. He's given us. I mean, last 2 weeks, he's given us a floor of 11.3, 12.8 PPR points. He had 20 points the week before that. I mean, he's had 2 games below 11 PPR points this year. So while he's not shocking the world, he's still giving us a really, really good floor. He's a really good flex for PPR. And Spears, we'll see. I mean, Tony Pollard didn't get traded. I think that's still a decent split. Aaron, what's up, man? Said full PPR, Juwan Jennings or Trey Tucker. I would go with Jennings. I get the lure for Trey Tucker. That's boom bust though. I mean, if you're chasing points, go Trey Tucker. What's up, man? Said, would you agree this year is a perfect reason not to reach for? Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I typically don't reach for quarterbacks anyway. We have more quarterbacks now than ever running. We also have a lot of elite really, really good quarterbacks that are not being drafted higher because of their inability to run. Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff last 3 years has been like a top 12 quarterback, and he gets drafted like at an ADP of like 16, 17 last couple years. Like people just they don't want these quarterbacks that don't run. Obviously, Drake May, fantastic this year. I drafted a ton of him. I punted and I punted the quarterback in the tight end position all year long. I preached about it. And there was a lot of value with the tight end position too. I mean, you look at Gadsden, who was not drafted, but you look at Tyler Warren, who was like tight end 8, right? You were getting Tyler Warren at like, in the like the back 90s to hundreds in ADP. Let's see. Guillotine start Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, or Buka. I mean, that's a Rich's problem. I would go with Jefferson. I know there's a lot of talk about Jefferson, and it's valid. Him and JJ have not been on the same page, and it hasn't led to tons of points. If you want a safer play, it's Igbuka. Igbuka is the safest play of these three. If you're looking for ceiling, I would go Justin Jefferson. That maybe squeaky wheel theory he posted about. Some of his desires to get back to how he played a couple years ago. So we'll see how it goes. Francisco said, appreciate your help. Also, this may be a dumb question, but is Mike Evans droppable? Yes, Mike Evans is droppable right now. Maybe he comes back for the championship. I don't know. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon, though. With the weather, would you go Flacco, McCarthy, Purdy, or Brissett? I'd go Flacco. I have Flacco as a top 10 quarterback this week. Joe Flacco is my quarterback 9. I've talked about it, but I mean, Joe Flacco, if you look at his game log, quarterback 2, quarterback 7, quarterback 6, quarterback 15. The last 3 weeks on a points per game basis, he's averaging the most points per game of any quarterback in the last 3 weeks. 26 points, 24 points, 32 points. Last time he played Pittsburgh, he had 26 points and was a quarterback 6 on the week. So do with that what you may, but I expect that to be high scoring. And McCarthy, Purdy, and Brissett all have question marks. Trevor, what's up, man? Cook that Amish meat. I cooked some. I had some filet mignon. I didn't cook the skirt steak just yet because I had to thaw that out. Flacco or Darnold, then Love or Nix. Yeah, I'm going Flacco over Darnold. And I'm going Love. The Love over Nix one is tough. I have Nix at quarterback 21. I have Love at quarterback 20. I would go with Jordan Love. I'm happy to be wrong on Nix this week, but I mean, Love has a much safer matchup, better matchup. It's really just a matter of do they push for points? But he could be the reason that they push for points, right? Like we're always so scared about game script and they might blow this team out. I don't know if they blow the Giants out. I mean, I could see it being close. The Packers haven't really taken care of business lately. And also, I trust this Packers offense more than I trust Denver, and Denver gets a much tougher matchup. So I would go with Love over Knicks. I prefer Flacco over Darnold. Like I said, he's quarterback 1 points per game the last 3 weeks. It's not being talked about enough, but it is the truth. And he's been awesome. Jordan Love or Brock Purdy? Yeah, I would go Brock Purdy. Crazy to start Pierce all over Rome. I'm not there just yet. I mean, first game back for Pearsall. We've seen him deal with injuries. God forbid he ends up re-injuring himself, which would not surprise me. I have Rome at 20 this week. I'd love to have him a little bit higher, but the volume has been inconsistent to him. I have Ricky at 29. I'm not there just yet, Aaron, but you do you, man. I mean, if you feel confident, we're getting to the stretch point in the year where, you guys got to remember that, like, these are your teams, right? I'm here to help you. I'm here to provide advice, and I appreciate everybody that supports and comes in and appreciates my advice. But you're in crunch time at this point in the year where you don't want to look back and be like, man, I really, really thought I should have started Ricky Pearsall over Roma Dunze. I was so convicted, but I listened to an expert or an analyst, and they told me to go with Rome over Ricky, and so I did, and Ricky ended up exploding, and Rome didn't. Like, if you feel that conviction, go with your gut, right? I can help provide some context and provide what I think, but if that doesn't sway you and your gut is still telling you to go another way, I would go with your gut, because at least you die on the sword, rather than like sitting and kicking yourself and saying, "Man, I knew I should have started that guy." And that's like the worst feeling when you're like, "Man, I wanted to start him. I didn't have the courage to do it, but I felt like kind of like the Tua and Patrick Mahomes question before. I think Tua very much could be better than Mahomes this week. I have Tua at 13. Consensus says him at 22. I'm very high on him, right? But some people might sit here and say there was a question about Tua over Mahomes, and I said, like, I think Mahomes one spot, but like I almost considered putting Tua ahead of him. I just didn't have the courage to do it. If you're feeling convicted about something, take my advice. But if your gut's still telling you one thing, go with your gut. That's what I always say. Uh, Henry's back in here, said Otten, Loveland, QJ Parker. Yeah, I answered this one already, Henry. You might not have heard it. I said Otten and I said QJ. Sean Tucker or Sutton full PPR. I'll still go with Sutton there. Not high on Sutton this week, but I'm still going to go with Sutton over Tucker. Tez Johnson or Jake Ferguson. I would probably go with Jake Ferguson over Tez Johnson. I like Tez a lot this week, but I'll go with Fergie Ferg in this matchup against the Raiders. I would go with Ferguson over them in this matchup here. I have Ferguson. I'm actually shuffling my rankings up just a little bit now. I have Ferguson at 9 this week. Let's see. What do we got here? Albert's in the house. What's up, Albert? Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up still. I know I keep saying it, but what do we got here? We have 29 likes, 41 watching. Let's get it to 40. Let's get it to 40. If you haven't liked already, make sure you like. Flacco, Tua, Brissett, or Love. I'll go with Flacco. Adunze or Lockett. Wow, Mario, I'm going with Adunze here, but I do like Lockett. It's kind of scary. I put out a tweet as a joke the other day, but I'm going with I'll go with Adunze over Lockett. I'm not there just yet on Lockett. No problem, Sean. Mara said thank you. Cortland Sutton or Tez Johnson. I'm going with Tez. Already asked on Discord, but want to confirm should be good this week, but my flex worries me a little bit. Trade. Yeah, I would say yes, for sure. I think Gadsden and Warren are pretty close, pretty much a wash. And you get the running back upgrade with Hampton. I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. You have Kyron and Henderson too. You can wait for Hampton to come back another 2 weeks. I'm good with that. Deep roster, need one more to starter, Tillman or a Raiders receiver. Cedric Tillman, man, that's my guy. I would go with Tyler Lockett over Tillman though. What about any games with the weather? Not particularly yet. I'd have to check and see the latest updates on some of the weather, but not particularly just yet. Knicks or Love? I go with Love. Trevor. Caleb or Purdy? I go with Caleb. 3 starts for me. Okay. First, Baker or Flacco? I'm going with Baker. Do like Flacco, but I'm still going to go with Baker. Bowers is my 10M1. Would you go Trey Tucker or Kelsey? I'd still go with Kelsey. I think something up their sleeve. I know his Denver defense is tough, but no Alex Singleton this week. And, that could cause some communication issues with Greenlaw and Justin Stranad. And then Chicago or Kansas City defense. I'm going with Chicago. Leon said, appreciate the advice. Have a great day. Yeah, man, you too. Thank you for popping in. Tony said, can only start two. QJ versus the Browns. QJ, Browns running back. Okay, so Quinshon. Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. Quinshon Judkins is the player you're talking about, not Quentin Johnson. Got it. I'm gonna go with Quentin Johnson. I just have a vibe about him today, man. Well, let me preface this. I actually have Jawan Jennings ahead of Quentin Johnston, but it's not by much. And honestly, the more and more I sit here and think about it, I just really like QJ a lot today. I think the ceiling is really high for QJ against Jacksonville. I think we could get a big touchdown from him today. JC said, good morning. Should I start Monungai or Rodriguez for my RB2? And should I start Tet or Christian Watson or Parker Washington or Shaheed? Yeah, wide receiver. I have a lot of these guys kind of clumped together, so I understand the question. I'm still going to go with Tet in this question here. For the running backs, Monungai against Minnesota, Chris Rodriguez against Washington. Against Miami. I think as I'm pulling up to my rankings, I have Chris Rodriguez one spot ahead of Monungai, but we're talking RB30, RB31. So again, go with your gut there. That's not a clear-cut answer there, but I prefer Chris Rodriguez. Zach said Fannin, Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith. I'm going with Freiermuth. 4 touchdowns to the tight ends the last time they played Cincinnati. I'll ride that hot hand. I think they keep it going with Freiermuth there. Kevin said Parker Washington or Flowers. I'm going with Flowers. W or L trade. I made this earlier this week. Ricky Pearsall for Flowers. I'm good with Flowers over Ricky Pearsall. Again, just need to see him get healthy. Flowers is in a much lighter room. Ayuk may be coming back at some point. Jennings is there. You have more bodies around Ricky P. And I love Ricky P. But I would still go with Flowers. I think it's close though. High Talk Sports Podcast said Love or Flacco, QB1, PPR, Rashad White or Kyle Pitts. I'll go with White. I'll go with Flacco. Flacco the GOAT. Yeah, well. Hopefully he doesn't crash and burn on us today because, like I said, he's been phenomenal. KJ said, what's up, Pete? One running back, one flex, RJ Vidal, Christian Watson. I'll go with Vidal, and I will go with RJ Harvey. Best ball on call. Appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate it. You usually don't have any questions. Just kind of come in and hang out and smash the like. So appreciate that. But you heard the man. Make sure you smash the like. 36 likes. We're at 41 watching on YouTube right now. Let's get it up to 40 if you're listening right now. I know there's somebody listening right now that's like and leave that's still here that hasn't liked the show. So make sure you do so. KJ said, should I pivot off of McPherson because of weather to Santos or Pinheiro? I prefer Pinheiro, to be honest with you, especially with the weather, but Hauff might be still here, so maybe he can help answer that. Travis Etienne versus Los Angeles Chargers or RJ Harvey versus Kansas City. Yeah, I'll go with Travis Etienne. Do you think a more Kittle upgrade with Purdy? I think Kittle and Purdy will get things going. I think that connection wasn't there with Mac Jones. I think it's going to be there with Purdy. Atlanta defense or KC defense? I'm going to go with. I want to say I have Kansas City ahead. Yeah, I have Kansas City at 8. I have Falcons at 9. I like the Falcons. I worry about them stopping the run against Rico this week. It could be a little bit of a trap game, but I also talked about it too. I mean, this is make or break for the Atlanta Falcons right now, right? I mean, let's see. I talked about their schedule. They have the Jets, they have the Saints, and then they have this game coming up here against Carolina. But when you look at the divisional standings right now, Atlanta needs to rattle off some wins if they want to, if they don't want to fall even more behind. I mean, they're 3-6 right now. They have a very favorable schedule. They're behind on Carolina. So this is they're in a 4-game losing streak. I mean, this is a team that was 3-2. Now they're 3-6. They came off a win against Buffalo and haven't won a game since. So you figure this is a must-win game for them. It's a huge game for Raheem Morris, in my opinion, right, for his future there this stretch. I mean, if he can't get it done with all the talent on this team, dropping 4 straight after Buffalo and then this soft schedule the next couple weeks, I would have some concerns about his job security. Aiden said, Gadsden, RJ Harvard, PJ Washington. Yeah, I'm going with Gadsden. 1 point for Catch. Still going Gadsden. The only scare with Flacco to start with me is Pittsburgh pass rush can be scary any game when they show up. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, But again, we saw Flacco get it out quickly. He's smart enough, and I think the one thing is with Flacco, he opens up this offense so much where teams can't stack the box and they can't bring as many pressure wise because you have to account for Higgins and Jamar. It's much tougher and puts a lot more stress on the defense. Tyler said Mahomes or Flacco. I'm going with Flacco. Ferg or Gadsden. I'm going with Gadsden. Purdy or Flacco. I'm going Flacco. Trey Tucker. Romeo Dobbs, Keon Coleman. Well, Keon Coleman is out, Ryan. Keon Coleman got demoted to the inactive list for suckage or suckitis. I would go with Romeo Dobbs here. RJ Harvey or Rashad White. I'll go with Rashad White. Again, coming from a Denver fan. I'm still going Rashad White over Harvey, though I do like Harvey rest of the season. Higgins or Rashad White in the flex, PPR. Yeah, I'm going to go with T Higgins here over Rashad White. It's a good question. Haven't gotten a T Higgins question all day, but I think people are probably just firing him up no matter what. Ridley or Bam Knight. I didn't even know Calvin Ridley was still playing. I'm going to go with Bam Knight just on the possibility that he could be the hot hand today. Should I start AJ Brown, Detroit, or Rashad? I'm going with Rashi Rice. Just don't trust AJ Brown. AJ Brown is like the toughest guy right now. I traded AJ Brown for Michael Pittman a couple weeks ago, and I came on the show and talked about it. And I said I'd rather Pittman over AJ Brown rest of the season. Pittman with a little bit of a dud last week, but so far it's been a good trade for me. And the problem with AJ Brown is he's that kind of guy where it's like it's so painful to sit him. So painful. He's a guy that you almost can't sit. You feel like, but he's killing you every single week. So I'm gonna go with I'll go with Rashi Rice in a tough matchup. I know the volume's gonna be there at least. Pearsall, I would take over Worthy in that spot. Trade Rice and Gadsden for London. No, I would keep Rice and Gadsden. Dak or Stafford this week. I think I have. I want to say I think I have Dak actually. I think I do have Dak. Yeah, Dak at 7. I would go with Dak. Abner, what's up? Morning, brother. DK or Swift at my flex. Man, it should be such a smash to say DK. I'm gonna go with DK. I have Swift at 22. I have DK at like 20, 21. I'll go with DK. Right? I mean, we saw him pop off the first drive in that game against Cincinnati, and then he just fizzled out and was gone rest of the game. I don't think that's gonna be the same. I would definitely. I would go with DK. Which Rochester is on your coffee cup? This isn't Rochester. It's actually Boston. That's actually Boston. I went to Boston for my bachelor party, and my wife is a big coffee drinker, so I try to get her something, and she loves mugs, so I got her a Boston mug. She's not here today, so I stole a mug from her. Anthony said Falcons or Chiefs defense. I'll go with the Chiefs. Kelsey or Otten PPR. I'm going with Otten. I don't know what's going on, Princess, with this picture here. Sketchy. I mean, I don't know if that's supposed to be a swastika or not, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really cool with that. Like, I know for you guys, I don't know if you see that with the tail. I'm not answering that. Cairo Santos for me, Pinheiro. Thanks, Michael, Kelsey. As a Broncos fan, are you excited for Harvey or disappointed? I'm disappointed. Fantasy wise, yeah, I'm excited. I have Harvey in a lot of spots, and this is what I was hoping for was a second half of the year. I had always said that Harvey was a guy that, I felt comfortable drafting high because I felt comfortable about the second half. And I thought Dobbins was going to, be close to a 50-50 split with Harvey, which it ended up being more Dobbins than Harvey. But I thought Harvey was going to be okay enough to be like a flex play until, second half of the year because either A, Dobbins gets hurt, or B, he slows down and Harvey ends up taking over. He ended up getting hurt, and it's unfortunate. This was something that Dobbins really could not avoid. So I'm worried about Denver about running between the tackles. Huge test. I mean, look, Harvey, they drafted this guy second round. I mean, to me, I'm not going to hit the panic button. It's a tough matchup today, regardless. I'm not going to panic at all. But I think, while it sucks and it's frustrating for Denver, You drafted Harvey with a second round pick. Like, you should feel confident that he can run between the tackles. Like, even if he struggled out a little bit, I think more volume, he could be a guy that just gets better with more touches. He's been in a very inconsistent touch workload. More touches could mean that he ends up being more comfortable, more consistent. So I'm excited to see it. Bummed for JK though. Really, really bummed. Really like that guy. Luscious said need to start 2 PPR. Debo, Shakir, Sutton, or Wandale. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Shakir, and I will go with Wandale. Wandale and Shakir for me. I would pivot if you wanted to. I would pivot off of one of them for Debo, but I think I feel pretty good about Shakir and Wandale. DK or straight to my flex. Going DK. Ryan with the 20-man league flex said, since Pearsall is back, should I start Juwan Jennings or Parker Washington? I'm still going with Juwan. Knicks or Brissett? Oh, geez. I think I'm going to go with I think I would go with Knicks, but it's close. They're back to back. I would go with Knicks. I would just roll with it. AJ Brown and Tyler Lockett, man, this just feels so disrespectful. I'm going AJ Brown. I think it's a fair question. Not because Lockett's amazing, but Lockett's got a great matchup against Dallas. We'll see what happens. But AJ's been so bad, but I'm going with AJ still. You've been 100% every time. I can't say that I have been, but if I've given you 100% advice so far, at least hopefully I can give myself 100% advice because I'm struggling sometimes. Mando said start 1, flex 1, Woody Marks, Rashad White, Roma Dunze, Jared Judy, Quinton Johnston. Woody Marks for sure. And then I would, oh man, if you're going for ceiling, I would go with Roma Dunze. If you're going for a safe floor with an okay ceiling, I'd go with Rashad White. But Woody Marks is the lock for me. Yeah, I think it could happen, Kevin. I mean, it really just depends on what offense shows up. I think I'm not worried about Kansas City's defense like throttling Denver. It's really just a matter of the offense. I mean, this is it's weird because when you look at this Broncos Kansas City game, it's very similar to Broncos Dallas in some ways, where it's like this offense is amazing for Dallas, one of the best in the NFL. Tons and tons of weapons, huge tests for Denver, and Denver's defense showed up really, really big. And the offense ended up showing up, but it was a terrible defense. The flip side here is it's a really good offense, less weapons, but the defense for them is way better than Dallas' defense. So a little bit of concern there. So we'll see. We'll see. I would love if Denver could win this game. I'd be so freaking happy. Keep me in your thoughts, guys. Let's see. Dodrick said, how does Pinheiro rank now that Purdy's back? Safe to drop for Santos or McLaughlin? I think Hauff is still here. He could probably answer that. Pinheiro has been really good. I don't think Purdy being there makes me feel less. I think if the offense has a good quarterback, I feel better that they're going to move the football. So I'm not worried that they'll score more touchdowns and then he drops down or something like that. Let's see. Jordan Love or Jameis Winston? Feels like Packers maybe up pretty early, so Jameis would be a better play game script. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit, right? I have Winston at 26 still. I would go with Love. I mean, they still have to get up, right? So, I mean, that could be them getting up due to Jordan Love playing well. I'm not high on either guy, though. With Dobbins out, I'm in a pickle. Who do I start? Tracy or Hunt? Full PPR. This is a flex, so I should pick a wide receiver up, but nothing projected over 10 available. Yeah, I'd go with Tracy over Hunt. Woody or AJ? I'm going with Woody. Johnson, Tet. Oh, we got a little bit of spam in the chat. Johnson, Tet, and Pickens full PPR need 2. Thanks. Yeah, I'm going QJ and Pickens. Tet. I'm sitting Tet in this spot. All right, guys. Well, I mean, questions are kind of drying up here. I'll give it about 5 more minutes, and then I'll get out of here. Mando said flex 1, Tet Vidal, Troy Franklin, or Xavier Worthy. Yeah, I'm going with Vidal. And Tet and Troy Franklin are pretty close. I think I'd still go with Tet, but I think him and Troy Franklin are pretty close. But I would go with Tet. Tet. Let's see. Stafford or Dak? I'm going with Dak. Prescott or Flacco? I'm going with Dak. Rodgers or McCarthy? Need a safe floor for this week. I'm going with Rodgers comfortably. Ravens defense against Cleveland or Packers defense? I'm going with Ravens. Would you sit Derrick Henry or start QJ? I don't know if it's Quentin Johnson or Quinshon Judkins. Let me know, but I'm very very uncomfortable starting Derrick Henry today against this defense. Uh, I have Derrick Henry at 19 this week. I have Judkins at 25, so I would go with Henry if it's Quinshon. If it's Quentin Johnston or okay. Quentin Johnson is the really, really high ceiling play. If you're looking for a safe floor, Derrick Henry. If you're looking for the high ceiling with a bigger risk, it's QJ. I don't think QJ is a bad. I like QJ a lot this week, but I mean, Derrick Henry's going to get the volume. Knight, Walker, Tracy need two to start. Yeah, I would go with Walker, and I would go with Tracy. I'd rather go DeMarcado over Bam Knight right now. JCM or Tez, I'm going with Tez all day long. JCM, they just elevated another running back. They're carrying either four running backs or JCM's not suiting up today, so something to monitor. Yeah, I get it. I'm worried about Henry's matchup too. I got him at 19. I have QJ at like 24, 25. Honestly, if your gut's telling you go QJ, go QJ. I'm cool with that. Broncos or Falcons defense? I'm going with the Broncos over Falcons. Mario said, thanks, brother. Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Yeah, one thing, Broncos, interestingly enough, right, you have some offensive line issues for KC. It looks like they're getting all their guys, starters back, but Josh Simmons hasn't played in 4 weeks. They had Juwan Taylor coming off of an injury. He's had his struggles. So I think they could get some pass rush there. They're playing at home. I think Denver has a higher floor. I think Falcons have a higher ceiling in their matchup. But I think that's it, guys. Appreciate everybody that showed up. Make sure you hit that like button, and subscribe on your way out. Thank you guys so much for supporting. Good luck in your matchups. We have one more international game today, and then we're done. I'm so happy about it. Good luck to your NFL teams. Good luck to your fantasy teams, and I'll see you guys.